Welcome to Lesson 3 on Elements of Art Space, Line, and Shape. This is a drawing lesson, so be sure to have a tablet or paper, pencils, and eraser. Space organizes elements in a composition. Actual space has control of size, color, and overlapping. There is negative and positive space in this image of a peacock who used to be the town mascot. The space in front of the peacock gives the image perspective. The space in the artwork organizes the elements in a composition. A shallow space has little perspective. This image is a photograph, and just as photographers can control the components in a photograph, when you are creating artwork, you also have control over the composition in the placement of its elements. First, you are going to draw an inspiration drawing about space and shape. The object is the arrangement of its elements. This applies to Content Standard 2 for using knowledge of structures and functions. You are to create artworks that use organizational principles and functions to solve specific visual arts problems. For advanced work in this course, you will need to demonstrate the ability to form and defend judgments about the characteristics and structures to accomplish commercial, personal, communal, or other purposes of art. This unit is for the assessment's goal of learning elements of art and principles of design. Achievement standards are set by the Common Core Standards and the National Visual Arts Standards to be both advanced and proficient. You will need to achieve one or the other to do the assignment over. I have provided links to this grade standards in most of the videos. Please refer to the Common Core site often to maintain your level. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have. Your assignment is to create an imaginary scene based on using either real or made-up components. The wherewithal to create abstract art by your control over placements of the elements in your compositions. Create artwork not only for the most beautiful use of the elements and principles, but for inspiration in one-day placing logical components. Imagine so it is with the universe. In the galaxy known as our galactic system are the mythologically named constellations as we still know them. The intensity of the sun as Earth's star is our solar energy and the light we have in our galaxy. And amazing as we are, we see with our human vision and hear with our hearing the vastness of the universe with its maneuvering planets and other galaxies. It is intriguing to listen to because we are part of it, and in us, imagine to create a logical journey into space, a purpose is planned. The celestial system has this intriguing contents to be our roadmap. Ancient mythology, named and delineated the star groups or the constellations, and this is history. Consider your ability to see the universe in our modern times provides enough information to motivate we must allow exceptions to history's configuration with our own. Whether your artwork is descriptive of abstract solar beauty in the celestial system or a practical new configuration is your choice. The object of the work is to have it mean the organization of its components is logical, whether it is a 2D work or a 3D one. You can visit nasa.gov or do your own research for constellations if you choose, but it need not be specifically about constellations. Just use your imagination and try to have a feel for logical placement of components or elements. Please have at least 5. Composition refers to the manner in which forms, lines, and color are arranged. Concentrate on use of space. Positive and negative space. Look at the examples. People do not always agree on the meaning of positive and negative space. Some say it is black and white, and others say it has to do with the placement of objects in the composition. The negative space is the unused space in a composition, making the artwork seem unbalanced. Complete activities part 1 and 2. The assignment is best done in pencil. It is allowed for you to send digital drawings with an original file. But whether you use a pencil or a mouse pad, a line is still a line, and you need to know what it is according to art terminology and techniques. A line is an identifiable path created by a point in space. It is a one-dimensional and variable in width. Direction and length. It leads the eye around a composition and it communicates through character and direction. A line is the path of a moving point. Activities for assignments 1 and 2. Read the instructions on the screen. Just use a pencil. It is not your main artwork. This is just a sketch and practice. This is a reflection exercise. Project 2. 200 Lines Project. Create another non-objective inspiration artwork, this time with 200 lines. Cloak an object and draw a maze. Look at the examples on the screen. You can pause and watch the video as many times as you need to watch it. Again, create a non-objective artwork. Cloak a real object. Create a maze, each with 200 lines. 200 lines each drawing. Terminology time. Note the terms on the screen for this lesson, lesson 3, and put them in your journal. Also, I would like email communication from each one of you to discuss your method of turning in your portfolio. Please reply to the welcome email from me. A zipped folder is preferred. If you don't have zip software, please go to 7-zip.org to download a free zipping software. Now, I'm going to go back and look at your pencil drawing for reflection. Find one thing you don't like about it and change it. And then draw it over on another piece of paper. Thank you. See you in lesson 4.